Hey y'all, what's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. KG is back. It's been a few days. Look, after the final game of the season, just took a few days just to decompress, let everyone mellow out, let everyone chill. And I've come back today, see how you guys are doing before we head into the playoffs. Want to talk especially about Cry Summerville and just some of the outrageous things I've seen in regards to comments about literally our best player this season. But before I get into that, like the video and drop your comments if they're sensible below. Thank you to Ty, who's become a member of the channel. And please, if you want to become a member of the channel, the link is in the description. And Josh here, dude, that headline gave me a heart attack. I thought you were saying that Somerville is not available. No, it's more to do with, of course, at the end of the season, we didn't go up automatically. And we have to tear everything apart, don't we? We have to see where things have gone wrong. And there are plenty of things that have been going wrong for Leeds United, especially since we come back from the last international break. But seeing some of the Somerville discourse, it's reminded me of a very familiar story that we've had, more to do with that dude behind me, Raphinha, in his final season at Leeds. And I want to get into that as well. Yeah, shout out to everyone. Oh, good morning. Yeah, it's afternoon here, but good morning from Monroe, New Hampshire. Yeah, okay, man. Spence in the house, Ali in the house. Pete, give us some hope. We'll try. I want to know how you guys are doing too, because obviously the last stream, we got bucked off the park by Southampton. It wasn't good, and I wanted to see how if everyone's reset now. It's been a few days. I want to know if anyone's got some renewed hope going into the playoffs. I'm very interested to hear it. Let's have a look. No. He's available. He's available. We'll see. I've got a couple of shows coming up. I've got the obviously the preview to come for the Norwich first leg, and hopefully, if everything goes, the way it should, I should have someone that knows more about Norwich coming on Friday. So stay tuned. If you want to check that out, stay tuned. And hopefully, we'll get a time together and we'll discuss it, because I want to get more of a Norwich perspective of it, who's watched them more than I have. Lockbones music saying, unfortunately, Southampton have been our kryptonite this season. We'll have to change for a potential playoff final. Well, we'll see. Lockbone there, right there. Lockbones is saying that we're going to go through against Norwich. So there you go. There's a bit of positivity for all of you. But what I will say is that it's not just us that have been, unfortunate against Southampton. It's Daniel Farke in his career. Now, I always say eventually these numbers have to, history's there to be changed, isn't it? Records are there to be broken. And we've broken a few records this season. But it's just more about Daniel Farke. Is he going to change? And I just find it very difficult to believe that a man that hasn't deviated from his plan all season long is going to all of a sudden change in the semi-finals of the playoffs. I find it very, very difficult. And we'll have a deep discussion about Daniel Farke come the end of the season, regardless of if we go up or not, because there's so much to talk about when it comes to this man. Really is. So we'll speak about that more in depth. But I do want to get your thoughts about Daniel Farke, especially about a comment he made. I did say it in the match reaction, but I want to go over it again today. Spence saying, Lockbone, I totally agree. I think we will get to the final, but we'll fail. Oh, God, I hope not. Mad Mickey is saying, honestly, KJ, I'm not confident given the recent form and that how Farke has not done anything different. Yeah, I do understand that. Yeah, absolutely. Things I'm talking about. Ever since Somerville took the penalty off Peru, we haven't played great. I started to think it was self over team. I think you realize that you can't put side before self in my streams, innit? I blocked that phrase. You can't put it here. Did he lose the squad when he let Cree do what he wanted? There is, you know what, Jamie? It's something I did say at the time. We've had it twice this season, so it wasn't the first time that it happened. It happened earlier this season where who was squabbling over it early in the season? Yeah, I've forgotten. I've absolutely forgotten. But it happened a second time. And I did say he said he was going to sort that out after the first one. And he publicly came out and says, Joel is our penalty taker. He said that publicly. And then he went back on it and he did make an excuse for Somerville saying, well, Joel was only on for a couple of minutes, so that's why. But yeah, it didn't sit right. It didn't sit right with me as well. Chris, a leopard never doesn't change its spots. I hear it. So all you've got to hope, Chris, and everyone else, is that what was working for us in January to March comes through again in the playoffs, because that's all we're going to see. I hate to play spoiler alert, but we are not going to do anything different against Norwich City. If we do, I will be stunned. I will be surprised, pleasantly surprised at that. I will be stunned. But it worked for quite a bit of the season, didn't it? It's just that it's fallen off a cliff since the end. Just want to get into. I mean, this came out after we didn't go up automatically. Will Ferrell joins Leeds United as a minority investor. Just going to quickly touch on it because for me, as everyone will probably guess what I'm about to say here, this hit like PR to the nth degree. You know, we haven't made the automatics. Hey, here's another celebrity that's a minority investor in Leeds United. Well, awesome. Yeah. Oh, great. But it doesn't do much for me. You know, we know that there's a whole host of investors when it comes to this thing. And we've got a lot of them. You know, Russ Westbrook is one, a golfer. You know, there's plenty of people. Will Ferrell just joins a long list of investors. But we'll see what if it comes to real fruition come the summertime. Yeah. It was all PR for me. Yeah, exactly, Spence. And I would think that people that watch the channel, I've explained these things enough. It was just like in the Premier League when certain players would have stinkers, when, like, say, Luke Ayling would have a stinker 8 games in a row. All of a sudden on social media, Luke Ayling visits a hospital. And it's like, oh, Luke, oh. Or they talk about his stammer. You know, it's just it's PR. Because some of these things as well are done way in advance. You know, they filmed and everything way in advance, but they wait for the right moment to drop it. So that's all this is. That's all this was for me. But moving on to this, just in regards to Farker again. Ruben, I'm disappointed with you, man. I'm going to come back to that comment. Farker on his own emotion. This was the bit that kind of worried me after the Southampton game. It's kind of been on my mind since. I'm a bit tired. This week wasn't the easiest to lift the players up, but the tank will be full and we go again to win the best possible prize, promotion to the Premier League. And okay, the last bit is awesome, yeah. And we saw, you know, give him credit. We saw after we had like what was it, an 8-9 day break, that we did okay in that Middlesbrough game. We weren't, you know, at our ultimate best, but we got the win, didn't we? I just worry about that because, and I'm only going by Daniel Farker's words. You see, anything I'm saying, I'm going to what Daniel Farker has said previously, and that is he enjoys the crunch time. He enjoys when things get a bit sticky. Do you remember those quotes? I do. You know, he enjoys it when things start to get difficult. Well, it hasn't been any more difficult than it has been over the last few weeks. And to say that it was tough to lift the players up when we're not fighting relegation, we're not just, you know, playing a game that's mid-table and nothing on the line. There was actual promotion on the line here. If Huddersfield had done what the rest of them, it would have been for us to win our game and we would have gone up. And there was that like 0.1% possibility of it happening. And the fact that he had trouble lifting the players up for that is a bit worrisome for me. Spencer is saying, remember how players always score against old clubs? Hopefully it's the same for the manager. Yeah, of course, yeah. And we've done well against Norwich, but I say it again. Those kind of things don't do anything for me because we did well against Derby that season and we ultimately choked in the final game big time from a whole host of players that choked that day. So, you know, we could have won both games against Norwich 8-0 each. It doesn't mean we're going to do the same come these playoffs. Different pressure, different time of the year. It's more mental this time. Because if it's to do with talent, we go up. All right? Simple as that. If it's to do with talented players, we go up. But we know it's about more than that at this time of the season. Bob Young coming here with a dad joke. Let's go. KGR Heard for All is insisting our ground change its name to Elfland Road. LUFC. Farker burning them players out, not enough rotation. Now it's showing he's contradictory of his own statements. Yeah, he's done that a few times as well. And to be fair, all managers contradict themselves. I think that's fair to say. But I found again another interesting one come the end of the season, and he mentioned it a few times, was we didn't have experience. Yeah, that's not true. We do have experience, but it's not good experience. And that's what he really wanted to say, or that's what he meant, because we do have older statesmen in the team. It's just that they're not good. You know, he was talking about Luongo and Morsey. Morsey, I get that. He's been brilliant for Ipswich, But again, you had chances to rectify this come the transfer window, and you didn't do it. You didn't do it, man. So you can't then come the end of the season where you've gone all in with the youth movement and saying, you know what, we could have used a bit of experience. Bit contradictory for me. Ruben, oh shoot, I take it back. I misread the title. How did you misread it, Ruben? Do you want me to? Shall I not bring it up then? All right, I'll allow you, Ruben. I will let you go. All right, I'll let you go. No problem. Um, Spence here saying I was referring to Farker being their manager for a long time. He knows the place. Yeah, but again, there's different players. You know, I know there's probably still a few players from when he was there, but it's a different manager. All that stuff to me, it don't matter. These are all things that you're hoping will give you an edge, an advantage in the tie. But at the end of the day, we need to concentrate on ourselves, Spence, and everyone else, because we're not doing our jobs. The players are not doing their jobs. You know, we're predictable to play. We're not shooting the ball. We've got a goalkeeper that's back to his Premier League confidence levels. You know, we got a striker that's got a bruised knee. We're back to being that team that we're beating ourselves. You know, there was a few games in this after the international break came where it wasn't that the other teams was using us as their cup final. We were just beating ourselves. We weren't doing enough. You know, we come up against two big banks, we try and play through them instead of going around the sides trying something different. It's the same thing every time. Um, yeah, I'm worried. People are worried. Talking about the playoffs, as we before we hear from Daniel Farker this week. Obviously the game is on Sunday. We're talking today. What day are we on, man? We're losing track of the day. All days. Wednesday. How are people feeling going into these games? And if you're not here, if you're watching the replay, tell me in the comments how you're feeling going in towards these semifinals. At this point, I tell you what, Nathan here saying this is why I'm a nervous wreck. Cheers, Cajun Realist. I would say this: if we had started the semifinals, say today, I'd be very, very worried. Very worried. I don't think there would have been enough turnaround, enough time to get rid of the stink of that Southampton game before we played. The fact that we've got a whole week to reset, refresh, because that's what it kind of feels like to me. It feels like the season's ended, but now this is the shootout now. That's what it feels like to me. I can't say what it feels like to the players. That's the most important thing. But to me, it feels like it's a refresh. It's time to regroup, know what's on the line. And listen, if you need any extra motivation, you know, you've got Leicester singing about us. I've already spoke about before, but even Ipswich are singing about us. Ipswich, you know, they should be more, you know, I'm sure they'll be watching the semi-final and thinking, I wish they'd both lose. But, you know, you've even got Ipswich singing about us. It's always the way. You know, you should use that as motivation for yourself. You know, I know Mikel Arteta got like buried for doing that when he was on that Arsenal duck, but there is something to that. You need to use that as a little bit of fuel to say, "Oh, you're laughing, yeah? Well, we're going to come up. We beat you twice. Watch how we recruit in the summer, and we're going to beat you again in the Prem." They need to use that as fuel. Have to. I don't know who started the chant, Bradley. I don't recall who started it. I got to be honest. A lot of the Ipswich players look alike to me. I don't know a lot of their names, um, but it doesn't matter who started it. It's the fact that it even happened. You know, you're celebrating your automatic promotion, and yet Leeds being in the playoffs is a song. You didn't even say nothing about Norwich. They're your biggest rivals. You know what I mean? So use it as fuel, please. Um, yeah, Clem. I know. I know. It was Clem saying here. I didn't get Farker saying we went for it against Southampton. Yeah, taking risks. I didn't understand that one bit either. I did not get it. We did not take risks. He made one change, and again, going back to what Farker said in that pre-match press conference, you never know what the starting lineup's going to be. That's just not true, people. We've seen the starting lineups all season. They've been pretty much the same, barring someone being hurt or suspended. Um, Uh, Bradley here saying, I mean, he started it at Ipswich at the celebration party. I think still a bit dirty that he did it. Now, I'm cool with people doing the chants. I'm good with it. You know, it just again it shows you the magnitude of Leeds United Football Club and just how much people love beating this football club to anything. You know, it's been so long since we were Champions League semi-finals. You'd have thought it was just 2 years ago, the way that people talk about us. I've got no issues with Ipswich singing about Leeds. What I'm saying is use that as some fuel to say, oh, just when you thought you got away with us, we're back. We're here with you. And we've probably got more power in the Premier League when it comes to attracting players. Well, no doubt we have. But we've got to get the job done. Let's have a look here. So I've talked about that. Yeah, talked about that. Right. Here we go. Right. Here's the man I want to speak about. Crysencio Summerville. This man. Okay. Now it's for me, we're going back to that thing, like with Raphinha. And this is why I said it at the start. He's now becoming almost a scapegoat, not by everybody, but by more people than there should be talking about him, saying, Summerville is part of a problem since the return of the international break. Does he pass it enough? Does he do this? Does he do that? You know, someone mentioned earlier about the Peru Somerville thing. And there was another thing as well that people trying to like break down with Peru scoring his goal and Somerville and everyone else going back to the halfway line. People, we were drawing the game. Like there was no time for all this stuff. We were trying to win the game. So everyone was well within their rights to go back to the halfway line. If we was ahead, if we went 2-1 ahead and everyone did it, then maybe we can have a conversation. But there was no issue with Peru celebrating, probably in relief from being off form, to everyone else going back to the halfway line, trying to restart the game and, you know, attempting to win the game. No issue. It was like when Dan James was at Man United, if people remember this one. If people remember this one, Dan James at Man United, he scored an equalizing goal. He tried to do that celebration, and Martial and somebody else just dragged him away and said, hey, come on, man, we got to win a game. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It's so funny. If you haven't seen it, go YouTube it. I'm sure you can find it. But that's all it was. But this is what happens now. People start to try and put dirt on your jacket. They try and put some dirt on your jacket. And this is copium. This is because they know if we don't go up, he's off. He's out of here. And, you know, there's just a couple of clubs here being quoted in this Yorkshire Evening Post article. Liverpool, Tottenham, Arsenal among the Premier League teams linked with Somerville. There's also interest from abroad. And you've got to believe, you know, I'm Dortmund have got their hands full. I know they're trying to get Matson back, Sancho. Those are going to be very expensive deals. You can imagine even a Dortmund trying to get Somerville. Like, he's going to have a lot of interest. And the reason why they're interested in him is because he's a great player. He's going to be a great player. He's done brilliant for us this season, consistently been brilliant. But people are starting to do the thing that they did with Raphinha. It was obvious Raphinha was going to Barcelona in the summer. You know what was happening? Everybody else started to say, Raphinha, you can see he's not bothered. And that just was not true, people. That was not true. And if anything signified that, it was the end game against Brentford where we stayed up. Because if it wasn't for that man, we would have been relegated that season. You know, I mean, it's, but people were starting to do the whole thing of, well, we know he's going, so you know what, we need to like try and tear him down a little because we'll miss him, but we're just going to try not to show that we miss him too much. And that's all it is now with Somerville. Dude, guys, where is it? Guys, these are his numbers in the championship. And people were talking about other players. I've talked about Amari Hutchinson, the strong end to the season he had. People even like building up Elias Chair, you know, all these kind of meaty players. Yeah. But we've got a player that's literally like near 30 goal involvements for the team. And people want to throw dirt on his jacket. I don't know why this happened. Well, I do know why it happens. I've just explained. It's probably copium in terms of knowing that he's going to go if we don't go up. He's not going to go anywhere if we go up. He's not going anywhere. We will keep him. I fully believe that, unless it's like an unbelievable offer from Liverpool, who are very, very heavily interested, very, very heavily interested in Cry Summerville. And that again should tell you a bit of a story. We're not talking about Everton. We're not talking about, with all due respect, Crystal Palace, even though they're doing better under their new manager. We're talking about the tippity top clubs here that want him, that are looking at him closely. So we've got a lot of issues in our team. Cry Summerville is not one of them. And so all of a sudden, people's trying to do the whole thing again. It's bad attitude, all that stuff. It's nasty work, people. Nasty work. Don't do it. Don't do it. There are bigger problems in this team by Cry Summerville. And let's go back to does he pass enough? Sometimes he could release the ball a bit quicker. I'm not saying he can't, but that again, we go back to the manager. The manager has consistently all season played Cry Summerville, Jorginho, and hope for the best. That is his tactic. Whether people of his staunch supporters like it or not, that has been the tactic. Even when we went through that unbelievable run between January and March, don't forget some of those games we were headed into like the 60th, 70th minute where we weren't scoring a goal. But you leave Rutter on long enough before his hernia thing, he would give you that moment of magic, and Somerville will probably go round one, stick it in the far corner, and it worked like loads and loads of times. That is on the manager. If you want something different, look at Daniel Farker and say, Daniel, the Somerville going through 3-4 players thing isn't working anymore. Can we do something else? What's the answer to that? No, it's not, because we haven't seen nothing different. Very rarely, consistently seen anything different. Um, I mean, and listen, without going on even deeper into this, if we didn't have Somerville or Jorginho, who again is being heavily criticised, but I do think that's more to do with his injury. Coming back from a hernia up, I don't think that's easy at all. But again, we've got not as good as options as Jorginho in there, granted. And again, that could be something to talk about for the January window that we didn't do too well in overall. But we've got Joe Gelhardt that could have been used more while Jorginho just heals up. We've got Mateo Joseph who could have played more games. So it's not like we haven't had not the same level talent as Jorginho, but pretty good for this division, people. So there's been other ways to utilize and get goals in this team, but we haven't used them. Um, Yeah, Gordon, Cree is expected to be a match winner every time, an impossible mantra. Yeah. And that again, Gordon, that's the same thing with Raphinha. Raphinha I remember a stretch of games, probably after the January window closed in that year we stayed up. And it was maybe 7 to 8 games. I'll go 8 games where Raphinha wasn't doing too well. He wasn't doing good, but he was still our most dangerous player. But the reason why I say that though is Raphinha, it was literally Raphinha or bust. This is different. No, we do have other players that could do a little bit more. This is not the same squad as we had in the Prem. It's probably better. And I remember at the start of the season, or when we was going through that run, I wish we people in the chats. I wish that we had this team in the Prem. I wish that we had this team in the Prem. Obviously, now things haven't gone right. People know that we do need to strengthen. But I got what people were saying. There's more talent in this team than there was in the Prem. I agree with that. And that's why there's less of an excuse than when Raphinha kept us up by himself. Way less of an excuse for Daniel Farker in his inability to utilize more players. Um, oh yeah, Ryan. Even the best players have had a bad spell from time to time. Haaland is a League Two player, apparently. Yeah, I always laugh at Ryan. You've been here so long. When I said that while Haaland wasn't scoring, and people were trying to say that Man City are a better team without Erling Haaland. It's just people talking West, just pure and utter breeze. How can you say this? Haaland, by the way, scored 25 goals this season, and he's been missing from a large portion. But yet, Man City are better without him. It's just people talking. And you know what? If I was more, if I could have that, if I had less integrity, I'd probably do it myself because it gets you clicks, it gets you views, it gets you a whole bunch of comments like, "What the hell is this guy talking about?" I got too much integrity for that. There is no if Haaland's not doing too well for you, bring him over here and we'll have him. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to defend Cree because I think it's very unfair. Some of the stick he's been taking, people starting to make things up that just aren't true as well. They're not true. And yeah, I just wanted to back him because I feel like he should be. He's been literally our best player, best attacker by a mile consistently. He does not deserve any of the criticism going his way. Could it have gone better in the last 8 games? Cool. Sure, it could. Sure, it could have. But that goes for a lot of the players in since the turn of the international break. Goes on a lot of them. Um, so yeah, let me just have a look. Yeah, Roy Keane, yeah. Uh, no caller ID. I don't answer those. What's going on here? Chris here is saying we need a new manager and at least 6 or 7 players before we can think about promotion. Well, I'll say this. I know, Chris. You just think we're gonna get bummed out the semifinals, and that's fair. But we're in it. We're one of 4 teams. There's a 25% chance, or if you do Steiner maths, there's a 33.3% chance because Norwich know they can't beat Leeds United. So you take their 25% chance and put it into my 25% chance. That gives us a 75% chance. No, I'm just joking. Anyone knows a Scott Steiner promo, you'll know what I'm talking about. But look, regardless of whether we go up or not, we do need 6 or 7 players, regardless, whichever league we're in, because there's some players, and I want to speak about this in a completely separate video, that need to be bombed out this club. They need to go, and 49ers need to be ruthless. Have to be absolutely ruthless with the players that need to get out of this club. Um, yeah, Darren, let's hope we limp into the Premier League. I'll take it, man. Listen, we could draw these 2 games, go from penalties in the playoff final. I don't care. Just do it. Just do it. But yeah. But Louis here saying new manager, Farker deserves 1 more year. Again, we're going to speak about that. We're going to speak about that come the end of the year. I'm going to try and do my end of year review with my guest who will hopefully be on with me, and we'll chat about that then. Classic promo. Hey, Last Samurai, you know, man, it lives on. It lives on. I love that. I love that promo, man. It's so great. But Matt he's saying, I don't want to limp into the Premier if we're going to get slapped up every week. Again, Matt, come on, man. If we go up, you would expect the 49ers to strengthen this team. You know, let's not be surface level here, people. Please. We could limp up, but then come the summer, have a whole new plan, have a whole new project, and say to the players that we're trying to recruit, we want to do this season. That's how you do it. Look at Bournemouth. I said about them before. Look at Bournemouth this season. Nowhere near the relegation spots. After just they survived okay last season, but they're absolutely nowhere near it because they got the right manager, they recruited well, and they're reaping the fruits of it. It can be done, but the problem is this football club in the past has made it look so difficult. They've made it look like it's the hardest task. Oh my God, how do we get a left back in this football club? It's just so difficult to get one. It's just not true, people. But you gotta hope under this new ownership, if we do go up, we will see them move very, very differently from Radrizzani. That's all you can hope for. But of course, Ipswich have gone up. But do you think they're gonna be keeping that team? 2 of their better players are lone players in Hutchinson and Kiefer Moore. Some of the older ones probably won't be able to keep up. And Sam Morsey is in that. He's 34 now. Wes Burns, I'm not sure how old he is, but they're going to have to strengthen that team. Everyone does, even Leicester. Um, yeah, exactly. Clarence. Villa came up in the playoffs, and you look at Villa now. It's all about making the right moves. It's just that this club in the previous history has made it look like the hardest task to make things right. And I've said it before, they need to move quicker as well when things aren't working. Doesn't matter if you sign a player. Look at Wolves, and I'm not saying that we should do this because you'd hope we wouldn't waste that money in the first place. But they bought someone in the summer window for near 30 or 40 million. It didn't work out with the player. So you know what they did? They turfed him out on loan in that January window because it wasn't working. We don't do that here at Leeds, though. We try and just keep on going and going until we get something out of the play instead of just going, you know what? This isn't working. And that's where I need the 49ers to be more ruthless. Yeah, he's okay. Yeah, I thought so. I thought 30 is decent though. 30 is okay, yeah. But will he be able to hack it in the Prem? I don't know. We'll see. We will see, won't we? But yeah, so yeah, that is it, people. We're going to speak about more stuff like this in the next couple of videos in regards to the playoffs. I think Farker's speaking Friday, and we'll preview it then. We'll see what shape Norwich are in, and we'll see how we're feeling as we get closer towards the game. I think it's going to be exciting stuff, man. You know, I think I'm excited, but I'm nervous at the same time, if that makes sense. Because if you go up in the playoffs, it looks like the best feeling. But to get dumped out, we've been there before. It sucks. It sucks. But we'll see. We'll see what shape the team is in. See if there's any news on Summerville, because I know we took a knock in the game against Southampton. Hopefully he would have come through with that. We'll wait to see what Daniel Farker's saying there. And Spencer is saying the 49ers will be different, KG. Hey, proof will be in the actions for me, Spence. I believe there will be, but the proof has to be there. Yeah. And that's where I am. Show me. Don't tell me. Show me. So yeah, listen, people. Thank you, Spence, and everyone else. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video. And yeah, put a notification bell on so you can join me live and we can chop it up there. They not like us. They not like us. Go Kendrick. Peace out. See you in the next one.